cycling through the countryside on a lovely warm April day like today. Birds are singing, and one could very easily forget that this was a battlefield during the First World War until you come across something like this. It's a defence structure. It says on the sign, which may even be original, works detail, third zone, direzione, I suppose it means the management of the works. Come in here, first thing you got a trench. Okay, trench is made out of stone, concrete, that shows it's a support trench. It may have been an Austrian trench which was then improved by the Italians. Firing positions, the trench obviously doesn't go in a straight line. And trenches never go in straight lines, so that people just can't fire down them. Comes through here. And continues. So look down here. Steps down underground. So its dugouts were built facing the enemy, as here, so that if shells landed in the trench, then there would be additional protection. If they're built on the other side, as it was in Blackadder, then the shell could destroy the dugout. So as we walk up this path, you can see all the time defences. I could spend weeks here. This really fascinates me. I'm sure I could spend 2 or 3 days in this area alone. Anyway, I've got a plan, because tomorrow I've decided I've got to leave. I'm going to go towards Caporetto, Gorizia in Slovenia, as it is today, and then I've got to make my way to Poland. So if not, I'll have just stayed here. So we see from this sign, we've got the stone marker for Mario Cava, who was a doctor, and 200 metres up there. There's a number of stone markers which were put up for various people after the war. But I could say this, having come up that hill on my bicycle, which was difficult enough, it must have been really difficult for those Italian soldiers carrying all that equipment in June and under fire. Hard to believe that this was a battlefield 100 years ago. And such a lovely day as today. This is the summit of Monte San Michele at the Karst, which is now between Italy and Slovenia, but in 1915 it was part of Austria until the Italian invasion. And from here we could see Trieste, because it's in that general direction. The hills of course are in the way, but there's the Adriatic Sea. Now there is the lowlands, the plain, the Friulian plain, which it took the Italian troops so long to conquer at the end of May and beginning of June 1915, which allowed the Austrians to occupy the highlands where I am now. And this was the scene of really bloody battles during the first 18 months of World War I for the Italians and Austrians. This was conquered by the Italians in July 1915, but they were thrown off. It was finally conquered on the 8th and 9th of August 1916. Cost of nearly hundreds of thousands of lives. And you'll be able to see further the trees not there, but beyond the Julian Alps. The Italians got up here and they realised it's only just begun. A day like today, it's really attractive. So we have here what may have been some positions. Next to it's a monument for the Caribbeans, who fought here in November 1915. And behind me is the museum, which today it's closed. We knew it before. Sunny day. Yesterday was raining, and getting up that hill on my bicycle in the rain wouldn't have been much fun. Currently there's work going on here to make a path around the monument. Maybe shelters under the rock. Fortunately not allowed in now. After so many people died capturing this mountain, Italians had to withdraw without any cost to the Austro Hungarians whatsoever after the Battle of Caporetto, because they were outflanked. Had to withdraw to the River Piave, which isn't all that far from Venice. Today we've got magnificent views of the Karst and towards the sea. In 1916 it would have been an even better view, because there would have been no vegetation to spoil it, which means that the positions of the Austro-Hungarians in that direction would have been very visible, and the idea came to the Italian generals that if they put artillery positions here, that would be able to bombard the Austrians at will, and that's what we've got here. The idea not just only to hit the front lines, but to hit beyond them, which of course is perfectly visible from a location like here. Now previously, of course, the Austrians had been able to do the same to the Italians, who were advancing in that direction. You can see San Martino down there. So the front line was on the slopes leading up here. see in this position as well how much Monte San Michele dominates. Here we've got an entrance to the tunnels which will lead to the gun positions which I mentioned on the other side. Fortunately the museum is closed so I can't get in. It's a Monday. But it's a cave. Looks like a cave. That's what it looked like 100 years ago. Noises from the work I mentioned earlier. And going down here we will find trenches apparently. I'm a bit unsure of my feet after that journey up here. Quite tiring. I was warned yesterday to put on long trousers and to have something to cover my arms because of the risk of these insects which parasites. They take your blood and they leave you with all sorts of dodgy diseases, so I came prepared. There's also warnings about adders, but adders are, snakes in general are not dangerous. They'll only bite you if you stand on them. They won't sort of go for you. There is one exception in Africa, the mamba, but other than that, it's unusual for a snake to do anything other than escape. That could have been a natural cavern, and in the lines here, the nature would be used. So we've got natural caverns that could be turned into dugouts and the like for storage. Imagine the work that go into doing this. Cutting through the stone. And another dugout cave. In 1932, this monument was put up, which is a monument to those who lived in Austro Hungary and were killed in the fighting. Now, so in other words, people who changed sides, obviously they were Italian speakers, you can tell that from the names. But we can see that there's very few names there compared to the local population and to the amount of dead in general, which leads me to assume that the Italian army was not welcomed to a great extent when it came into this area. Now that was put up in the fascist era, 1932, as was this sign here. School group here, not showing much respect for the area, unfortunately. Approach this a bit more, see the names of the places. Monfalcone, Trieste, quite a few from Trieste. Gorizia, 4, Fiume, 2, Pola, which is now in Croatia, 2, Zara, 4. Not exactly huge numbers compared to those, for example, came from Messina, where thousands died on one day.